That means we can start.
Yes.
Wow, what an experience. So, my name is Bernd Ihno Eilts. So I will do the interview with you. Very happy to be here. These are the Skypainters with Kirill Dumchenko. Tonke over there, piano and keyboards. And we have Petr on drums and percussion.
Yeah.
We have Manon on bass, bass guitar. And we have Florindo over there in Portugal.
Andreia.
On violin.
Viola.
No, it's Viola. The viola is like the big brother of the violin, I heard. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deeper sound, yeah.
Well, great to see you there in Portugal. You are live here with us. So I will start now with the official questions.
All right.
Okay.
Put the flashlight on us.
Yeah. So very nice meeting you.
November 24th.
Very nice meeting you. Thanks a lot for the invitation to do this interview today with you.
It's a pleasure.
Even I didn't hear really that it's live streamed, so I'm sweating now a little bit more than normally. And yeah, thank you for starting the Skypainters and doing this unbelievable project, and for releasing this first album that came out in 2023. That was last year.
Right. Yeah.
So I just say it again, the Skypainters are you, Kirill Dumchenko on guitars, percussion, well, synth FX it's called. You play also the ukulele.
Yeah, true.
And you are also singing a little bit, and you composed everything and you arranged everything. Then we have Andreia Florindo on viola, which is the big brother of the violin, right? And you are now in Portugal. You are also from Portugal. We have Tonke Suithoff. Is that right? Suithoff. On acoustic piano.
It's one of the hardest last names you can have.
I will not make it today, I think. And keyboards. You also play keyboards.
Yeah.
So we have Manon Barendsen. You play the bass, at least with this group, but you also play flute and piano and anything else, a lot. The trombone I heard.
Yeah. Well, I'm practicing the trombone.
Whoa. That is also playing.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And we have Petr, Agapov. You play drums and percussion, and you play cymbals as well.
Yeah,
right?
bacons.
Yeah. And on the album we also hear the bassist, the former bassist, but he's on the album. It's Gabriele Bertossi.
Yeah.
And we also hear Julia Dumchenko, a little bit on vocals. Wow. At least we can hear you. Wow, yeah. So Kirill, the Skypainters is your band, your project, founded in 2017.
Right.
And the album we will talk about today was released in 2023. Please tell me, Kirill, about the first steps to begin this group.
Oof.
And be honest.
Yeah. So it's happened exactly to 2017, because in 2017 with let's say initial lineup, we didn't know that we are Skypainters yet. We recorded 2 compositions in order to apply for some junior festival in Italy, if I remember correctly. And it was in May 2017, and it was recorded Hopeful Man and Energy Cycles, which now we recorded on that album. And after that, I felt that somehow I very much connected to these compositions, very much connected, and I cannot stop. And even more, when I composed these 2 pieces, we recorded these 2 pieces, Maybe it was not the best recording or so, but it opened in myself some kind of a new door to new music perception or so. And I thought, wow, maybe, because as a musicians, maybe we are dreaming to find yourself. And I thought, wow, it feels like kind of I'm finding myself here. That's why I decided to go forward with the Skypainters. That was the first step. And back when I was a student, and I tried to work on that music, but maybe not really consciously. At a certain point, we started to have gigs, and line-up became more precise. And I was experimenting with different instruments. I also played before with two tenor saxophones. And then I started to play with keyboard, with alt viol. So that was kind of step for step.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, Kirill, you are the guitarist, the composer, arranger, and you play also, at least on this album, percussion and the synth FX, the ukulele, and you also sing partly.
Yeah, I played percussion only in one composition in my questions and answers, because I heard Petr did a great job with percussion in studio. It was already super nice. And then I spent some time to select right track, and then I came up with the idea that, I would like to do this. Snap at certain part, even two and even clap. So that's what I recorded, and then I found wood stick. So I also apply wood stick there.
Okay.
Because I felt it will be suitable, and it creates a little bit ornamentation in this piece, because piece questions and answers are all very open piece, and it's adds some nice elements.
Okay, great. Well, this album is made by 5 musicians, created mostly by you, Kirill. But as a so-called director of the Skypainters, I could say that. Did you allow corrections in the process of your different ways to play suggested by your band members? And how did it work out for you with your musician family so far, especially in the process of making the album, but also now you're busy with the next album?
Yeah.
How is it working with you together?
So now I will say, and guys, of course, can check if I'm saying truth. So first of all, about drums, I'm completely trusted to Petr, because drums for me it's super, it's a magical part, and with Petr, and so Petr does it absolutely amazing. I'm bringing new charts, new compositions, and we started to play, and Petr also created his own drums part, basically. Then, of course, I'm receiving a lot of feedback from Andreia. So she's saying if it's because unfortunately I'm completely in love with alt viol, but unfortunately I cannot play alt viol, maybe yet.
You don't need to.
And I write, in all compositions I write for alt viol, because I'm in love with that sound. But it doesn't mean that all lines are can be well played on alt viol. And from Andreia I also receive a lot of feedbacks about that. And also from Tonke about range of piano. I really like to use a very low range. For instance, you can hear it in composition Dance. And sometimes Tonke is saying, hey Kirill, this is too low, and maybe chord doesn't sound really clear in this range.
Yeah.
So a lot.
How about you? What do you say about that? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kirill's music is quite complex, and I remember at the beginning when you receive 5-6 pages of each composition. It was a bit hard to put it in a whole picture. So yeah, it takes time to nail this composition, because it has different parts which needs to connect in a certain way. Yeah, I think. Yeah, in my perspective, Yeah. I try to do my best.
Okay. How about you?
With that.
What is your experience in working together with the boss?
Well, I came, of course, a bit later in the process.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more like there's a kind of finished product that I have to just get familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have much to do with my opinion of how it should or could be, because I came later.
Okay.
For me, it was mostly catching up, because there was just a gig coming up, and I just had like, I don't know, 8 or 9 tunes to practice.
Yeah. So first you had to learn.
I had to learn the music,
the music.
And for me, the most difficult part wasn't so much the music, as in to read the notes, but it was to feel what actually the intention of the music was, and the intention of the bass line, and because I know what I feel, but I didn't know what Kirill feels. So I felt in the beginning maybe uncertain or uncomfortable if what I was doing fitted with whatever Kirill was wanting and what the band was wanting. But we had a gig actually a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then I really felt like, now I'm getting into the groove.
Okay.
And also Manon brings a unique sound because of fretless bass.
Yes, I play fretless bass.
Before it was
only.
Yeah, and now it's fretless bass.
Okay.
Yeah, which is also
and fits very.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, it fits.
Yeah.
And how does it fit now for you? I mean, now you learn everything, you know everything quite well. Now you can also deliver something more.
Yeah, I feel I'm starting
artistic.
to. Yeah, I feel like
Like your
I
way.
have more freedom now.
Yeah.
And I can accentuate now certain things, and it starts to feel very familiar.
And the boss accept that?
I'm encouraged that.
Great.
Okay, great.
No, but I feel already we had some great moments coming.
I also even feel it. We played in Leeuwarden in end of November.
Yeah.
On the Explore Honor Festival, and we felt that there was different, but it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice. So we were moving.
Okay. How's it for you? Because you started in 2017 with the group already, so you're
A little bit later.
or later.
2009.
But you are for a long time a member.
Yeah.
How is it going for you to be in this group with this boss?
I was in my when I learned got to know Kirill, I was very inspired by his ideas, and he was playing in the Skypainters, and then at some point he asked me to play in it, so I was very excited, like let's go play in this band, and it was extremely hard for me in the beginning to learn it, because a lot of things are written out, and which can also be helpful, but there are a lot of details, and there's a lot of things you can mess up, so you need to practice.
And you do that. You mess up.
Well, in the beginning,
I think we all do.
You have to learn. You get better. But the funny thing is, if you play it long enough, this music, then it gets almost natural for you to play it.
It starts to grow.
That's interesting. So it's something. Your system, you adjust to it at some point. If I play the tunes now, it doesn't feel, unnatural to me anymore. It feels natural.
Okay, so you really become the composition and the music.
Yeah,
way.
you emerge with it.
Yeah. Wow. And is it possible then for you also to deliver something of your own, to make it a little bit really your own?
Yeah, exactly. If you get
the
more
boss accept that?
Yeah, if you you never say something about it. So. No, but if you get more comfortable with playing the music, then you start to see the picture, and then you know, like, but then I can add this or I can add this, because if you're not comfortable playing the composition, you have to think a lot, and if you think a lot, you cannot add your creativity that much.
Yeah.
So, but at some point you get to a point that you are getting more creative, and I think Kirill also wants that. But first you have to be able to play the composition well. But if you play it well, then I think he's a jazz musician also, and he likes jazz musicians like things to be different every time.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also great, of course. Florinda, how does it work for you to play with the boss?
For me, it's very interesting. It's something completely new that I'm used to do, actually, because I'm a classically trained musician. So for me, it's very interesting to communicate with each other, and especially when there were a few rehearsals that every time that we would get together, Kirill would bring a new version with corrections, or I remember there was this very specific spot that Kirill wrote for me in a very high register, and it was such a fast jump that I was like, Kirill, don't you like the viola register? Wouldn't you prefer it to be a bit in the lower register, because then it's much more of a viola sound? And yeah, at that time it was just the easiest fix. And of course for him as a guitar player, it doesn't come so easily for him. So for me it's very interesting to work so closely with a composer and to work things through together, especially because I can play, for example, extremely piano, but then I'm completely covered by their instruments. So there were also a few corrections in, for example, Kirill would write pizzicatos for me, but in the end, the audience then cannot hear it. So then we have to kind of change it a bit, and of course keep the concept that Kirill wants, but openly discuss what can be done in order for it to, be a bit more audible.
What do you think is the difference between you, that you're coming from the classical department, meeting here the free spirits in the jazz department? What is the big change for you in that, especially in this project? Can you say something about that?
Yeah, for me it was, honestly, it's a huge journey, and I'm still walking through it. I remember even when Kirill first asked me to join, I think it was also 2019, Kirill?
I think so too, yes.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't see why Kirill wants a viola player. I'm going to be so out of place there. I mean, I'm not even a jazz musician. And at the time, I had a few gigs with more, let's say, jazzy pieces, but not really in this setup and in this such new concept of music. And I remember at the beginning, even in rehearsals, was for me extremely hard to understand them, and because they communicate with each other so differently, not only musically but also how to fix things when they speak. And they spoke a lot about these very specific terms, and I was a bit lost. And I even remember, I think we had a concert in the very beginning of me being there. I think it was Smederai or something. And it was, for me, it was very, very chaotic, because I'm on stage. This is a completely new language for me, and I'm trying to understand how these people that I just met, so I also don't know them very much personally, which of course also makes it a bit more difficult. And then I'm trying to understand the gestures on when to come in, because I'm not used to this language. So it was an extremely interesting development, I think. At the beginning, I remember I felt a bit anxious even, because it was really not my scene. And I think now, as time passes, and I'm of course more comfortable with the music, and I know them more, so I actually now know what they mean when, for example, Kirill does this a lot in concerts, and a lot of times I'm like, is this my cue to come in, or is it just feeling the music? What's happening right now? And also Petr helps a lot with that. There was one specific spot that I was always messing up my entrance, and it just does. It's just extremely clear for my classical brain, and yeah, I think it's just adjusting a bit on everyone's end, and yeah, it makes a good final presentation, I think.
Wow, thank you very much for your describing your classical brain to us.
Yeah.
I will come back to you. Thanks a lot
Yeah.
for now. Well, this album is a milestone for you, as I can say, as it is for the whole band, of course. Can you tell me how you composed this album?
Oh yeah.
As adding to this question, I also wish to hear your inspirations, how to compose, your ideas, how did you put ideas together, how did you work in the process of composing? You told me earlier you use a computer program, the Sibelius, but you also play on the guitar or piano before, maybe also singing.
Yeah.
What comes first, what comes next?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just open yourself now.
Right. So this album, it's a milestone because it's a composition which I composed from 2017 until 2021, during the conservatory years in conservatory, and they all have a very important aspect in common because they all dedicated to certain moments in my life. That's why it's called Elusive Moments. So that moments, they are super important for me for several reasons, and basically they inspired me at the end to compose this music. And it's music mainly about love. And their compositions are different, but they still have very much in common, that it's me and it's my memories in these years about some different things. And they were composed quite differently. For instance, Energy Cycles, the first composition, I composed first part on piano and second part I play on guitar. And then I just, because I didn't have piano in my lineup back then I just adjusted to another instruments. But still, it was composed when I was preparing for solfege class. We had a solfege exam and I had this augmented triad to be resolved. And I thought, wow, I really feel this augmented triad. It's super cool. This C augmented triad go up to D flat major triad. I felt it super nice, and I decided to compose this piece like that. And so each composition is something about something from my life.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. When you compose and you are the boss of this band, you always know exactly what you want, right? So how do you get what you want?
I have super simple rule. So when I compose something new, I put it, and then I should spend one night without that piece. And after that one night I wake up and I try to forget about it as much as possible. Like I completely forget that piece. It's like it's not mine anymore. And then I listen it again, and if I feel something, then it's worth to work on. And if I do not feel anymore, then I just don't work on that.
Okay.
And all this piece which I'm bringing to the Skypainters, it's pieces which I believe there is something. So I spent one night, I completely forgot when I listened, wow, it touched me. So then I think it's, I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah. But how do you get it then from the band? How do you work? You bring material?
Material. So later I started to talk a little bit about the story behind that. Because initially I just didn't talk anything. It's called Energy Cycles, and here we are. It's called Hopeful Man, and but later I started. Okay, let's talk. And my first attempt, it was about composition, Sunlight on the Carpet Floor, and because it has quite a weird title, right? And then I said, it's actually about my childhood. So I was practicing guitar in this room with a huge carpet on the floor.
It's nice. It's nice to have an image, actually.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing someone's original music. It can really. Of course, it's still your image. He tells a story, and then you get an image. But then if you have an image, you can more relate to.
It's like reading a book, and your fantasy starts flowing, and you create images, right? So it's important for you to have an image.
I think so.
Yeah, and then what are you doing with this image?
It's very subtle. It's very subtle. It's somewhere at the back of your mind. I'm not very consciously thinking about the image. It's just there. When somebody tells a story, you get a picture in your mind, and that picture creates a certain emotion in your body. And I think more or less every time from that moment when you play the song, you kind of get this emotion. You get in this state. Yeah. But I think for most musicians that is also a very intuitive process. I think most musicians are very intuitive beings, and this particular area what we're talking about now with the image and emotions, that's something that musicians do quite naturally. Yeah.
Well, I will come back to the situation when you started the band, or when members went away and you needed new members. How did you choose band members?
Yeah, that's...
Be honest,
yeah.
It will not kill you.
So, first of all, I would say that I'm so lucky with this band, with this lineup which we have now.
It's your own Bernd Ihno orchestra, right?
Wow, that's a big word.
Well, yeah, it's a good word.
I mean, because I think, guys can correct me, I think we are going good together. Not only playing, but we are also going good together. For instance, of course, we do not, unfortunately, spend so much time together, but we have nice tradition. At the end of the year, we celebrate. We're going to a restaurant, let's say, and we have. I'm also trying to get all band for instance, for my birthday. So it's really nice to be together with these people. And initially, I have way different musicians, and sometimes it's really important. For instance, he or she can play very well, but you always have feeling that you doesn't really go well together. You don't, and especially there is. It might be a lot of different aspects. For instance, I had some different experience when you go to studio to new musicians. Not every time goes very quickly in studio. Sometimes it's a lot of problems, some unexpected problems, for instance.
Like what?
Like technician problems, like somehow microphones doesn't work. And sound engineer try to fix it for 2 hours, and for 2 hours you do nothing. And in this moment it's super important to be with people with whom you are in a good connection. Yeah. Because then it can be, it's kind of stressful situation as well. And also when you go to the gig, for instance, it can be problem with trains or something like that.
Yeah. But how did you choose Florindo?
With Andreia.
Exactly.
With Andreia, first I was lucky enough, I invited Andreia to play in my lab band in master, during the masters. And because I'm always was looking for alt viola players, and with Andreia, if I'm also not mistaken, we were on bachelor the same year or something like that. And then I liked, first of all, Andreia. She has amazing sight reading. She can read all my charts from first glance, and she has great sound with her viola. So therefore, at a certain point, I just asked her if she would be interested to join the Skypainters. And Andreia is also very responsible. So it's really great to communicate with her as well. Now, for instance, Andreia, she's helping me a lot with different applications for the Skypainters, for festivals or competitions. Okay. So this is I cannot imagine the Skypainters without Andreia.
And she's even here now, even she's in Portugal.
She's still joined.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And how did you choose Manon?
So with Manon we know each other also quite a lot, for a long time. And with Manon we played probably in ensemble some during the conservatory years. But the thing is, Manon, she participated with my another milestones, which was first 2 scenes of jazz opera. And this happened at the end of June, and I invited Manon to play, and we played very nice. And after that, so when Gabriela moved to Germany, I was looking for a bass player, and we talked with guys, and I said I'm going to ask Manon if it will be possibility for us.
So you talked about Manon altogether and
Yeah.
decided then.
And then we had a call with Manon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know great also sight reading, and also because of course fretless bass. I also said, let's see, maybe it will be interesting also.
Yeah.
Another jewel comes to the big
Yeah.
sound, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's also kind of in a direction of double bass, but not really a double bass or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good answer that you gave, because I had a question: what do a musician need to be accepted in this band?
So the
Just
main
in general.
the main reason, and again this is a big compliment to Andreia, they should be open-minded, because this is music. You can call it jazz music because we are 4 of us, we are jazz musicians, but also in a way we don't consider Skypainters as a jazz band, and I like classical music very much, and I do believe that, for instance, arrangement parts, they're really classical in a way. We have polyphonic stuff, we have different approach of melody, different approach of different phrases, like we do with Andreia in the flow. We play these lines kind of in canon style, so that's very important, and you should accept that there is no classical music or jazz music. There is just a music, and it can have influences from rock music, from pop music, from jazz, from classical. So you can take what you feel you need to create your own music, and music is just a music.
Yeah. That's good that you said that, because I had a quote. I brought a quote here. Maybe we can talk about that. Pat Messini, he said, I think you like Pat Messini a lot. Well, he said, what I look for in musicians is a sense of infinity. Right? I think it's the same that you just described.
I think
right?
so too, yeah.
Okay, well, how does it work for you to compose for 5 voices? If we can say every instrument is one voice, of course. In the sense that all members of this group use their individual voice, their individual sound. So you really need to know what you have at home as your family base.
Yeah.
If I can say that the Skypainters, they are your family, right? You work with your family. And you have many possibilities to choose from. Well, how does it work for you to compose also bass, fretless bass, keyboards, piano, drums, with the viola, and even yourself? What is your secret?
I think, I'm trying to remember now, I think the biggest challenge I was afraid of is to compose a bass line. So, before, sometimes we get used to in standard jazz charts, for instance, we do not have specific place for bass, but only chords. So bass can play what feels right. But I mentioned that it doesn't work for my music at all, and also because in my music it's sometimes difficult to realize what exactly chords is happening here, because it's some kind of flows going on. And then I felt I really need to write a bass, and it takes time. But after that, I started to like that very much, because with bass and with guitar, the secret, if we talk about secret, so we should cut that. In my music, guitar and bass, they kind of together create, and let's say they're trying to create a vertical work frame in where we are now. And viola I'm always considering as a main melody producer, which highlights certain melody. And for piano, I'm at least till this moment, I considered piano as a second voice, which create kind of replies to what's happening in melody. And at certain point, I started also to write for piano. It was also quite a challenge. It's still quite a challenge. But I'm quite happy that with this lineup of instruments, I feel I found really nice balance between guitar and piano. And in this balance, we are not conflicting with each other, but we are complementing each other. Although at certain parts we play chords, piano play chords and guitar play chords, but also in this framework of the Skypainters framework, guitar and piano is not conflicting. And it's actually, you cannot replace easily guitar or you cannot replace piano because they are super important in this structure and they are not conflicting. I didn't see it much in music, and I'm also quite proud about that. And also with viola range, it's not the highest range, but still, in my opinion, I found way how to fit it very well in music at the end.
Okay.
And sometimes piano plays lines which are higher than viola notes.
Well, that's your secret.
So.
Okay, not a secret anymore.
Write it down.
Well, Kirill, your inspirations are widely, I think. You also like rock music.
Yeah.
You like music from the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
Like Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Absolutely.
You also need like math rock, classical music. Please explain your inspiration. What you love about that specific music and sound, and how we can hear that maybe back in the sound of this album.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was listening some strange music which not my classmates were listening to. I was listening exactly this prog rock from 70s, quite a lot, and because my father, he's a huge musical lover, but he also has a good collection of good music. So it was always around me, these CDs or vinyls. And back then so when you start to play guitar, more often you're kind of starting to play as a rock guitar player. You start with blues things. And at certain point I thought, wow, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, they have amazing music which has everything I like. They have really rock sound, they have really classical orientation, and it works together. So for instance, they played pictures from exhibition by Mussorgsky. In very, very much with rock improvisation part, and it was unbelievable. And I thought, wow, when I will grow up, I will try to do something similar.
Now you grew up?
Not, I don't know. And then I dived into jazz music very much. And I thought, wow, jazz music is the best music because it's music which you create right, kind of on spot. You use all skills. It requires a lot of musical skills. That's the best music ever. But then I start to grow up more. I come back to a little bit to my classical influences. And then I thought, oh, why I should play classical music, jazz music, rock music? Why it's not try to put it together? And it's a bit maybe kind of in a way like guys in 70s did that, like Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, yes. But we are doing this also from a very strong jazz perspective, and we are all educated we're educated in music, in jazz or classical music. So that's why, yeah, we have all skills to do what we want.
Yeah, that's great. Well, can you tell us a little bit about how you find your own voice in the Skypainters environment?
Yeah. For me, I think I'm still a bit in the process of trying to understand my role in the band. As in, I do have a lot of melodies, but sometimes I'm just playing an accompanying role, which is in the classical world, it's the main viola role, is just accompany, usually the violins. And so it's a bit of a shift in my in my viola role, right? I'm still trying to figure out how to communicate. And even now that I try, and we start a bit improvising, and well, I started to improvise because Kirill really wants me to learn how to use all these pedals so we can, so we can make cool stuff in the next tunes. So I'm just slowly dabbing my feet on the improvisation world, and just usually I just try to communicate with them even and bring a bit of my classical side to the band, which I think also helps them a lot. Like for example with Tonke, we play a few times together, and I always try to communicate with him because I don't know, it's so much nicer when we are on stage and we are, you know, communicating without saying anything. For me, that's very special. So yeah.
Okay, great. So there's a difference between playing in the studio or the rehearsal place or on stage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do have to say that I do prefer concerts because there's less talk and just more doing. And I do think what's important is after concerts, we do talk with each other to see, okay, this happened here or this didn't happen here, what can we do? And that's extremely important, I think, for the development of the band, and also to bring us a bit closer together and to properly communicate. But I do think that, concerts are the spots that I like the most, because it's where we feel more free. And I mean, we are musicians, so of course we enjoy presenting ourselves and sharing the Skypainters music to the audiences, and connecting with them as well. So I think that's very special to all of us.
Yeah, beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me or us what you like about your fellow family members of the group, and maybe what you don't like? What's going on here?
What I like, I appreciate every one of them, and I think everyone brings completely different elements to the group, not even instrumental wise, but also personality wise, because I think when we play together, you can really hear everyone's personality. I remember even with Tonke, I'm sorry Tonke, I'm quoting you a lot or talking about you, but it's a compliment. I remember some solos that, I mean, for me it's still very new, right? All these patterns that they play, and playing together, it's very new and very interesting to me. So whenever we are in concerts or even in rehearsals, I'm always trying to hear what they're trying to do, also to understand it for myself. Because I think it's coming to knock on my door, because Kirill really wants me to try and start with improvisation, and I remember Tonke just doing just really cool solos and a completely new side of Tonke that I never saw before in solos, that I was really like, okay, I think he's in a good mood. Like, I like what he's doing.
He said to me, "Wow, I never heard you playing. Like, you play completely different."
Yeah. For me, that's very interesting, and it's actually a freedom that I usually don't see or don't get to be part of in the classical world. So for me, it's very interesting and eye-opening to see how vulnerable we can be on stage and with each other. And in the end, we are just, having fun, playing together, and putting our mind and heart at work.
Wow, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being that open with us. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go to Tonke. Well, you are the piano player and the keyboard player of the Skypainters. You are a band member for some years already, which is great, of course, especially for the boss. It feels very nice to have a family that stays together, right?
Yeah.
So, what is your experience so far in this band? Do you feel hurt, sound-wise, or even as a person?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I first said, the first I had to really get comfortable with the music, and at some point I got comfortable with the music, and then there was way more room for starting interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And listening to each other, and yeah, you know, if I notice something in the music that maybe can work better for especially for the piano itself, but then I tell Kirill, and Kirill is always very open to hear things. He's but what I also like, he also is he can also be very stubborn, and he's just like, I'm just doing my own. This is just the way I want it. So,
yeah.
But I think that's also a good thing, because a band member, there should be a clear person who makes the decision. Like, this is what I want.
Okay.
I've also played in bands where the people were just like, oh yeah, everybody decides, and then it was like total chaos. And we tried to write a song, but then everybody had an idea, and then somebody said, no, I want it a different way, and then suddenly the whole idea was from the table. So
Okay.
yeah, it works better if one person makes more or less the decisions for the bigger picture.
How was it in the beginning? The first step, did Kirill come to you and said, hey, I need you?
Yeah, I was like, let's go.
It was like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you met here somewhere in the building, or how did it go? Do you remember the moment?
I was bass player first time I played with him in the band.
Oh wow!
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Sometimes shit happens, and sometimes life strikes, and you're out of a bass player, and you have a concert in
It
2
was
weeks.
Noorderzon Festival
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, and so he needed a bass player, and he couldn't find one. It was holidays.
Yeah,
Everybody
it
was away.
August.
Everyone was.
And then
fine.
I played. I started learning his songs from the bass perspective, which was a good way to get started.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, great.
with organ sound and
Okay.
bass.
Right. Yeah.
Funny.
And what do you like about your fellow band members? Maybe you have some stories to share also. What do you not like about them?
Yeah, mostly I don't. I like a lot. Not
You
but
don't like
you
them.
learn to live with it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard, but you learn to live with it. No, Kirill has very good energy. He's very enthusiastic about his music, and that lifts the energy of the whole band already. And Petr is very serious. It's also good. Manon is extremely friendly. Also Andreia. And yeah, I like to make fun all the time and tell stupid jokes. So that's my role.
That's your role. Do you also drive the car when you have to go to a concert? Or who is driving?
Sometimes. Yeah.
You are driving. Okay.
Well, she was driving last time.
Okay. The bass player and the drummer. They
We have two
normally
great drivers
drive,
here.
right?
Yeah.
Oh wow! And is there also something that you do not like somehow in the process, or?
Yeah, let me think.
You have to say it now.
I get fired, you know. I need to be
Careful.
I need to be careful.
It cannot be cut. We have a live stream.
You know, now for instance, like the ranges, I think sometimes the piano parts can be more in different ranges for the piano. This can be something that can be improved, and also I had another thing. Oh yeah, changing charts. Yeah, I mean it's good to get new charts. No, but it's good to get new charts, but sometimes I make notes on one chart and it's like 5 pages, so I make a lot of notes, and then I get new charts, and then it's like,
Right.
I need to make the notes again.
Yeah.
He gave me a chart and he said, I maybe changed one thing, but maybe not.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Good
this
to
can
know
be
that.
tricky, but if you play the music enough, you don't need charts that much. So
Yeah.
in the beginning, it's more important.
Yeah. What does inspire you at the moment the most? Maybe also about the band.
Music. Yeah,
Is there something that inspires you? when you work together?
Yeah. When I play, what I like is listening to the others. So that's nice. That's inspiring to do. Like what are the others doing? And besides that, I like to do the soloing parts are also very fun to do, because you play odd meter and then you can interact more with others.
Okay.
And for me, playing odd meter, that's something I learned from actually playing in this band. That was something new for me, and yeah, doing that was an inspiring process for me too. It was difficult, but also inspiring to learn, get better at it.
Great. Well, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, Manon, there you are. Great to meet you again here
Nice to meet
on
you.
the couch. Well, you are the bassist now
Yes.
of the Skypainters, and you followed Gabriele Bertossi. He went to Germany. Yeah. Well, great country. Well, how did you enter this great band?
Well, Kirill already told,
Yeah.
kindly, he asked me. But last summer I played with them on a jazz opera.
Yeah.
Then I also subbed actually for another bass player.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of came in. I had a great time. I remember it was very funky because of course it was a jazz opera, so there was also like a little show going on,
Yeah.
and I had to sit in a certain space, and so very just different thing than what I usually do, which is jam and study. So this was kind of it was very interesting. So and that was that actually. It just was that. And then a few months later, I got a call from Kirill if I wanted to join. Very simple, actually.
Very simple.
Yeah,
And you just accepted.
I accepted. Yeah, I thought
And
it
I was
a-
very happy.
Yeah, I tend to do things that make. I said yes because I thought I would learn many things from it, which until now happened. Yeah, it sounded like a nice adventure, but also really like I think there's much to get there. Also, just the musicians, especially for me as a bass player, it's I have a thing for drummers, and for me it was a great opportunity to play with Petr also. So yeah, it's been very nice to learn from these guys. So my assumption that I would learn things was it's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you like about being committed in this group with the Skypainters and what not? Maybe do you have some stories to share with us?
Mostly, really, what I like is that I learn a lot of things. It's outside my comfort zone. I think I am kind of strong in voicing my own sound. I can really, if I hear something, I can play it. Or no, if I hear something in my mind, I can express it. But here, a lot of things are actually not in my mind; they are from this mind. So, for me, in the beginning, it was very difficult to learn to voice somebody else properly. So it's not at all comfortable for me, still not, but I do feel that this makes me a better player. Just
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So what is maybe uncomfortable is actually the reason why I really enjoy it. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Well, Petr, finally, we talk. Well, you are the drummer here in this fantastic band.
Yeah.
In this orchestra. We could say the Skypainters Orchestra, right?
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Yeah. You are also for a long time already a member of this band.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your experience so far for yourself in this band?
In this band.
Yeah.
Well, this is project of Kirill, and it's his music. It's very specific, very original. It doesn't sound similar to anything what I've heard. But what for me is like a person who born in Russia and familiar with Russian music. I don't know, Kirill sometimes when I see him playing, or when we rehearse or play, I don't know, once I imagine Alexei Arhipovsky, it's a Russian balalaika player. It's like a triangle which has 3 strings, but this guy creates, I don't know, symphony from these 3 strings. And it reminds me of this Russian tradition of balalaika players, because it was kind of not only entertaining back in the days, till, I don't know, 16th century, 17th century, but also it was part of the opening mind of people. Let's say it was kind of spiritual storytelling, or kind of from the folk things, and which could be changing the minds. And because of that, was a period when these balalaika players were kind of forbidden. There was kind of a church thing fighting with that. But anyway, and Alexei Arhipovsky, I just feel sometimes that there is a connection to this tradition, like storytelling. I mean,
Arhipovsky, he's like crazy virtuoso.
Yeah, it's virtuoso.
Great
it's like
musician.
World level musician. Yeah. So this the association was for me, and it's quite complex music. You need to be really focused.
Well, okay. Can you tell us what do you like about your band members? What is your experience in playing together? What do you like about the process and about their way, how you connect with each other? Something like that.
Well, it's a very original project, and which gives you motivation to play that, and collaborate with guys. I personally see it as like a conversation making, especially on the solo parts, and I wish we can make more solo parts. I mean, for me as a drummer, it's very original music, and there is very strong idea, very strong orchestration. But for me as a drummer, thanks to Kirill, I have more freedom, let's say, than other musicians.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. And I'm trying to keep all the guys together. And there is kind of interesting part, I would say, because every time we rehearse, it's mostly kind of chamber situation, because there is a viola, and it's from classical tradition, and the classical guys, they usually play acoustically, so they really use acoustic sound of instrument. So, but in our case, we are, especially when there is a keyboard and 2 electric string instruments, and sometimes very hard to find the balance, find the balance. Yeah. So, and when we find it, it's good, it's like really chamber thing, you can hear the viola lines, which is great, and sounds great. But when we on the stage, and it's completely different situation, and sometimes I feel like, wow, we have so much power, and I wish we could transfer it also on the so we played on different places, let's say, different occasions, and there is a kind of different approaches to each room, each zaal has, and it's not it gives you a challenge which you want to solve, and it gives you you grow through that experience, which is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Kirill, you created an album with 9 compositions, and it's exactly 16 minutes long, the album.
Yeah.
Is that was that by purpose, or was that just putting things together and then suddenly you had 1 hour music?
Yeah, it is, and I can reveal another secret. Initially, there were 8 compositions, but for Sunlight on My Carpet Floor, I decided to cut it. So I cut it in the middle, right after guitar solo, and part 2 starts right with piano solo. So because I thought, wow, it would be nice to have. We have like 6 minutes, 7 minutes compositions, but it would be nice to have shorter, let's say 4 minutes and 3 minutes. Although in the beginning it was, and we play it on stage always as one composition, the Sunlight on My Carpet Floor, but on album I decided just to cut it.
Okay. Well, I have some open questions for all of you. What is music for you? Can you tell me a little bit about your definition, what music is for you?
Oh, for me, it's in a way of source of inspiration as well, and also source of energy. I really, when you play on stage, even on rehearsal, I'm very recharged after that. I really like this. Like this music is lifting me up, maybe because it's strongly connected with my memories. So maybe I can also say that it's my time machine. So when I play it, I'm kind of traveling to the past, but also somehow going to the future. Yeah, and it's a very nice, very important feeling. Like when you're getting older, it's important feeling that you're feeling that, hey, this might be your, let's say, kind of heritage. So you're doing it because you're trying to do your best as a composer, as a musician, and that maybe you're sharing it with people, and people can listen to that. So it's your impact to this world, I would say.
Yeah. Let's leave this beautiful call, this beautiful interview with, I have one request, because you're also working with melodies a lot. So what is your favorite melody of a song that is there, that you are working with? Do you have something like that in mind? And if you have something like that, can you maybe sing it?
From the album?
Yeah.
Yes. My favorite melody in the Sunlight on My Carpet Floor, there is ta 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 ta, and we go octave up. Ta, 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 and my voice is terrible. Ta 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 ta. We're coming back to C major.
Okay.
That's my favorite melody.
Wow. What about you? Do you have a favorite melody in the music?
I like in questions and answers. There's just this repeating bass line. And I doubled it with viola. And I don't know, it just feels magical that the highest and the lowest plays the same. I just love it. It feels. I really always look forward to that moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. What about you, Petr? Do you have some favorite melody lines in the music?
Melody lines?
Yeah.
Well, I like odd meters. Melody. Yeah, for me as a drummer, melody. But I like the odd meters, especially. In this music, because you can do.
Can you sing it?
A lot of. Yeah, for example, there is a part in Glimmer which is very powerful. Boom, 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 and then there is viola also makes a contrapunct.
Right.
And you?
My favorite melodies, right?
Yeah.
No, I only listen to chords. No, I liked the first melody that I liked was Hopeful Man. It's like very rhythmical melody. Da do da do da do da do da. And but I also like the one he mentioned in Sunlight, and you have of course Energy Cycles. It's actually a very simple, slow melody, right? And then it's a nice melody, very stretched over very longly stretched over the composition.
How about you, Andreia? Are there some nice melodies in the music?
I think, as a whole, I really like Night on Earth, which unfortunately I don't play in.
Maybe yet, Andreia.
Yes, that's my favorite. And there's this really cool thing that I wish I played, but I don't as well, that Kirill interrupts his solo, I'm not sure where, and then Tonke joins in dun, dun, da ga da ga da da da.
It's in dance.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a signature spot.
But this signature spot was born coincidentally. We played in festival The World We Live In, and it was on stage. And after that, we decided to stick with that.
That's so cool.
And now we played it everywhere, so it's like
Wow.
like already written chart.
Okay. Wow. Well, thanks a lot. That was brilliant. Very nice interview. Very nice talk. Thank you for being that open with me to even tell me secrets that are not secrets anymore now. Yeah. Thanks a lot.